Hello, hi, my name is Kayla. This is going to be my first YouTube video, and the theme that I want to stick to today is drugstore affordable makeup and everyday makeup routine for beginners or just for anyone trying to simplify their makeup and keep it affordable. So with that, this is the finished look, but I want to go over the tools that I like to use, and I will drop somewhere on the screen what time you can skip to if you want to just get into the makeup, because I'm just going to be talking about the brushes and tools that I'm using, and then I talk about products as I'm going. Excuse me. Okay, so in the description I have a Amazon shopping list, and that is where you can find all of the products that I'm using today, as well as some other options that you can choose from for less expensive versions of what I see as essentials. So everything in here is drugstore. The only thing that is not necessarily a drugstore would be my concealer brush, and I use this concealer brush. It's like a dome-shaped fluffy brush. I did just use them, so they are a little dirty. It was from Sephora, but I know that it was affordable because that's what I went in and told them. That's what I asked for, and I just wanted a inexpensive brush that could be for concealer, my under eyes, and spot concealing, and this was what got recommended to me. I don't know the name or the size or anything, but maybe I'll be able to find it on their website when I'm looking that up. So that's concealer, and then for face, I used these brushes. Now this came in a kit that I got as a gift. I think it's a 10-piece kit. I just saw it at Walmart the other day and took a picture of it. It's closer to the $10 range, but I think that these are pretty easy to find by themselves, or in a cheaper kit. So I would say this fluffy brush is the essential, right? It's a basic blush fluffy brush that if you don't want to spend too much money, getting just one of these in your collection will be helpful for a blush, but you can also use it for bronzer. All of the tricks that I do in this video, you can definitely use this brush. But I like having both of them because you're able to interchange. And this angled brush is still fluffy but angled. So I use this at first to set my face with setting powder, and then after that I go in with contour, and then I use blush. So you could just, build it up like that and wipe it off as you go. But I think the size is really helpful for at least my face, setting my face, and perfect for that contour blending, but definitely not necessary, right? Don't break the bank when you're just getting started. I know that Real Techniques is another good drugstore brand that definitely has brush kits like that. And speaking of, for eyeshadow, eyes, I use a Real Techniques collection. This is another one that is closer to 20 bucks. I think under 20 bucks though, so it's still a pretty good deal. And these I think are all of the brushes that you will ever really need for any eye look. But what I use in this video is these three, and I really recommend this, just a basic fluffy blender brush. And then what I think is also really helpful to have in your collection is one of these sharp angled brushes. So you see how thin that is? This is definitely one of my all-time favorites, and it just helps out a lot with eyeliner and any kind of eye looks that, you know, if you like liners, having one of these really thin, sharp, angled brushes is really helpful. And there is a kit that I found on Amazon that I think has like 3 and has these 2 for sure. And I can't remember off the top of my head, but maybe one of these as well. And this is just a fluffy, shorter, dome-shaped brush that I like to use for my under eyes. I think that's it for brushes. Next would be my eyelash curler, and this is the Revlon one. They definitely still sell this at the drugstore. Most drugstores will have it, and this is my all-time favorite. I haven't used another eyelash curler that I personally like. This one just fits my eye perfectly and gives me the curl that I like. So this is a must-have for me, but finding what kind works for you is important. That's all the tools, and let's get started. So I've already washed my face and moisturized. This morning I used Olay Complete, which is their daily moisturizer for sensitive skin with SPF 15. I've used this off and on for a long time, my whole life basically. And then we've got, this is my other daily moisturizer that I use, the Cetaphil Moisturizing Lotion Normal to Dry. Also recommended for sensitive skin. But I just added a little bit extra to my under eyes and where I get dry on top of the Olay. So I personally, I love a good eye cream, but I don't think it's necessary. Just taking a little bit extra of your lotion and using that to make sure that you're just making sure that your under eyes are moisturized, right? I think is good enough. It'll save you money in the long run, especially when if you're just getting started. Just using whatever you have, as long as it's like lightweight and non-fragrant, I would say. I think that works really well. I'm gonna start off with concealer because I personally just do not like a full face of makeup. I like to let as much of my skin breathe as possible. So I've been using Wet n Wild Incognito. I almost always have 2 shades with me so that I can correct and brighten, but also because my skin tone changes pretty drastically from summer to winter. Like midwinter I'm super pale, and what I use for brightening is my just correcting color at that point. But I like these a lot. They're all day full coverage concealers. I feel like I can get away with it looking almost like I have a full face of makeup on, but I don't, and I love that. My skin loves that. I'm gonna go in with my light medium, which is like pretty close to my skin tone right now. Much closer to my skin tone right now. And I like to pop it on where I know I get red. Bring it out my eyes a little bit. And not a whole lot around here, but we'll connect all of that. And then I don't always put anything on my forehead because I have bangs. I use that to my advantage and just usually leave my forehead pretty bare, but my bangs have not been working recently, so I'm just gonna not be too hopeful. Okay, and then I'll pop this lighter shade just right here in the very center. And go in with my concealer brush. I like to work from the bottom up. And mostly dabbing is the motion that I like to do. And you get more used to it and it gets really quick. And then, so under my nose, and then I kind of connect it up to my eye, but I leave the center, my inner corner, alone for the time being. Bring it out so that already like creates a little bit more shape to my face with the concealer. To my upper brow. But leave my lid bare for the moment. For the inner corner, I like to use my finger, my ring finger, because I think it fits perfectly, and with the brush and with sponges sometimes I'll find that it like creases easier. I think keeping the under eyes really hydrated helps with that, but I think the finger just works better because it's warm, it's perfect size, kind of just meshes with the skin better. And so with my finger, you'll see that I go down like along my nose, but then I also bring it out. Okay, then I'll go back in with my brush and just make sure that the side of my nose is blended out and there's no harsh lines. And then after that, then I'll just look and see like where I want more coverage. I have a couple of spots like on my chin, but it's pretty hidden, so I'm just gonna leave that alone. And a little bit of redness, but I'm just gonna leave it alone. For my everyday makeup, I like to just not get bogged down on the little things. Like some things will cover up with blush, and I find that also once you put blush on, like it kind of makes any redness going on. Like I am going to cover this up, but any little bits of redness that I have, it just doesn't stand out as much because you have the blush on your face. I feel like it helps kind of minimize the appearance or how drastic the discoloration is. And then with this angled brush, I like the angled brush for this, as long as you make sure that you clean it off really good. And like we haven't used bronzer yet, so I think it's fine. Like, I'll use this for my translucent setting powder and then go back in with bronzer. But using e.l.f. HD powder and just tap a little bit into the lid. So I'm going to start with my under eyes. And this step, sometimes I'll skip, like, if I don't want to, I won't. And I feel like it makes it easier if you end up wanting to touch up your under eyes at some point later in the day. You can just use, like, wash your hands, use your finger and buff it out, but you're also able to add more later. So totally up to you. If I do like a quicker everyday makeup look, then I'll show you my techniques. But you just tap a little bit on there and make sure it's all evenly distributed. And just, again, tapping motion into my eye and into my pores. That's where, well, I mean, I have pores and acne scarring all over my face, but especially right here and like in the apples of my cheeks. So I always like to put some powder there. And I love this powder. It works really well. Very blurring. And then I like to take it all the way out here and on top of my eyelid, like basically the same places that I took the concealer. And I like to just make sure that's soft around my eyes. I think that helps with blending, kind of like mimicking the motions that you're going to do with blending can help just make the brush glide easier. A little skipping later on. And on that note, I'll go in with another fluffy brush and just add a little bit more to my crease and make sure that I get up here. And then just do some of that swiping motion. I think it helps with skipping for me personally. Like especially at this eye, I'll get a lot of skipping on my inner corner. I skip this step. Okay. That is the e.l.f. HD powder, ladies and gentlemen. And next up, Milani. This is their Silk Matte Bronzing Powder in 01. And this is my all-time favorite. As you can see, I've hit the pan with this product several times over. It's like the perfect shade for me, summer and winter. In winter, it's very much so a bronzer, but in the summertime, I feel like I can get away with it as more of a contour shade. But I don't like going in with a ton of bronzer either way. I just want a little bit of shadow. where I can get it. And so I'll just swirl that around pretty generously, going back in with my angled brush. And you'll see on my face, right, when I do that, you can already see where that divot is. And I just follow that, make a line, and then fan it up. So I like to keep it pretty precise because I want all of this to stay clear of that color. So I'll start off pinching my angled brush, start from my ear and come back, make that line, and just fan it up. Yeah. I think it's a really nice bronzer, very easy to use, very blendable. They've got all different, well, I think they have like 3 shades that I know of. And then just bring up and connect to my forehead. Like, I don't know if you can tell, but like my forehead, when I start to tan, it's like the same color as this, so. I like it a lot. And a fun trick that I learned for double chin is making the double chin and then seeing where the line is, where you want that line going across, and then blending down from there. That same kind of fanning motion that we did in her cheek. Because I used to just go in straight with the brush and like, I just feel like it would transfer up too high, and I realized that just looks a little muddy. Like I said, I want to keep this as clear as possible but not have to use as much product, and so this has been very helpful, a very helpful trick for me. And then I'll just kind of follow where my neck already goes, where the shadows naturally fall already. Just make sure it's all blended out. Go in with a little bit, and for my nose, I pinch it and just go up my nose, connect it to my eyebrow on both sides. I like to be really careful with this one, just making sure that I don't put too much product on the brush. And then I do the bottom of my nose, bridge of my nose, and that's all that I do. And one of my favorite steps is adding to my eyelid, so kind of like a fake facelift type of deal, by going like on your eye and just up. Just lifting your face up and then make sure it's blended. And you'll see, right, with my eyes, like I already have just this natural shadow right here. I'm just kind of intensifying it. And yes, bringing it, you'll see, you see how this side is up more. It's just really carving that part out. Awesome. Now we're gonna go with another Milani product, and this is their Baked Powder Blush in Berry Amore. This is probably one of my favorite summertime blushes. You'll see it's like a pretty berry pink and has like gold marbled into it. So it's a little bit shimmery, but not too much. And it's pretty pink, so I'll swirl it around a little bit and then make sure that I tap it onto my hand, just to make sure I don't put too much product on, and then just really build it up from there. And because my face is round, I like to keep my blush up a little bit higher, and I like it to blend in a little bit with this concealer that we did up here, so I'll kind of tap it in there. And then whatever is left, I'll kind of bring it onto the apples of my cheeks, but I don't want to do too much. Sometimes I'll put a little bit over my nose, like connect the two. But I think that's good. Okay. I forgot to talk about primers. I like to use e.l.f.'s Poreless Primer. It makes my face really soft, but I would just say like it doesn't necessarily like keep your makeup on for very long. It will make your face look pretty dewy. But I forgot, so I'll show you that in a different video. I don't use it very often. I only use primers if it's like a special event that I know is going to be like pretty long, or if I just feel like really taking my time with my makeup, that I might. But for just the everyday, no, I don't. One of my all-time favorites from the drugstore is this Maybelline Master Chrome in 100 Molten Gold or Fondue. I remember seeing this all over YouTube years ago. I think you can totally get away with just using your finger, especially if you like a real intense highlight. Using your finger, I think, works the best. A little bit here, a little bit on my nose. I actually haven't highlighted my nose in so long. It's funny. For no particular reason, but that I just don't feel like grabbing the product. And I always like to do my Cupid's bow as well. And while we're here, I'm just going to pop that into my inner corner as well. So like depending on what you want your everyday look to be, you know, you could just stop here. I think this is pretty, or keep going, or you could skip all of this and just do eyes. I do that too. But little trick with highlight, if you feel like that was a little much, you can always put highlight on first and then put your blush on top, just so it's not quite as intense. But I like a nice intense highlight. Okay, and we are ready to get into eyes. So we already did a little bit of contouring on our eyes, and I'm gonna go in a little bit further with more of that bronzer and the fluffy brush. Swirl that around pretty generously, and just again, where my eye already naturally has shadow, I'm just gonna build that up a little bit more. And even sometimes, like, I'll take this on my entire lid, but I think today I'm gonna keep that just bare and just intensify my natural shadows today. And then with the fluffy dome brush, I'm gonna go in with that same bronzer color. Tap it off and go. You see how my eye, I have that line right there. And so my under eyes are going to crease no matter what. That's just the anatomy of my eye. But what I feel like can help with that, and I learned this from Alexandra Nell, is when you do your under eyes, basically filling in that whole pocket. So I'll just try and show you, and connecting it out to where we started to fan. So it just kind of sets that back in space a little bit more, kind of adds shadow and just, I don't know, makes it like not as intense of a line as like it is over here where we have just concealer up here. I like it a lot. I would say, like, it took me a while to be comfortable with under eyes. Like, I used to barely do anything with my under eyes. But I do really like to now. And a good rule of thumb is just like whatever you do to your upper lid, do the same thing to your lower. Like with the same colors, just make sure it's even and kind of like goes together. Okay, and then, you know, depending on how you feel, like this fluffy brush will be really good again to just go in and kind of blend out any harsh lines and just really help you make all of that look natural. Okay, and I think we are at the fun part for me. So I love a cream liner for an everyday look. This is ColourPop. I can't remember the name of the color, but I have it linked in the Amazon shopping list. I love this. And I like to just line my entire waterline. And another trick I learned from Alexandra Nell is then flicking it out. But I'll show you as I... Okay, I had to clean out my memory card a little bit, but so I'm not sure how much of explaining that last video got, but waterline, and then once you get to the end, just kind of start slowly bringing it out. And I like to take it out pretty far. I just think I like the way it looks. It's a little extra something different. And I feel like kind of extends my eyes. And then I'll go in with Pixi, their Eye Define Waterline. It's one of the twisties. And I'm going to take this on my upper waterline, but just the first third, darkening that, and then the outer third or so. I will say that it transfers over to the bottom a little bit, mostly right here, but then you'll keep all of this in the center, pretty true cream, and you're able, you know, you could touch it up throughout the day, whatever you want to do. But I like that. I like when it transfers over here, because then I feel like it gives me kind of a cat eye effect without me necessarily needing to do extra steps. But from there, once I've done the outer third, I like to flick it out right on top of that cream color. And I kind of press and swipe. Dot and swipe. And see how far you want to take it out. And then once I've taken a little bit out, I'll just kind of come back and connect it just a little bit. Okay, not too much, because then I go in with the sharp angled brush and just right on top of it, I first go out, swipe it out, and then I bring it back in, just kind of blending out that liner. And okay, I'm going to do the other side and be right back. Okay. It's as even as I think it's gonna get. And yeah, if you have the time and you have some black eyeshadow, you can always use this liner brush and like press some black shadow into those, and that'll help make them not transfer quite as much. But I'm gonna say that's good to go. My Revlon Matte Lash Curler. And my all-time favorite mascara is Essence Lash Princess. The pink one is Curl and Volume. I just ordered some more of this stuff. Little tip, instead of pumping, swirl it, because when you pump, that's putting more air into the tube and it's going to make your mascara dry out quicker and not last as long, and allows for more bacteria to grow in there as well. This mascara reminds me a lot of the Too Faced Better Than Sex mascara, which I liked a lot when it like first came out, and at some point I feel like the formula changed a little bit, but I also just, it was a little too pricey for me to keep buying, and I found this one at my drugstore, and I feel like it is a really good dupe for the Better Than Sex Too Faced one. The only thing is that it's not waterproof, so it doesn't necessarily hold a curl all day, and I'm pretty bad about like touching, like forgetting I have makeup on and rubbing my eyes. But if you focus the mascara on the tips more so than like the full lash, then you're able to save that curl a lot better. And if you wanted to go back in and curl your lashes later throughout the day, you could, and it not like ruin your lashes. It is buildable. It can get clumpy if you try to build it like any other mascara, but I usually feel good after one coat. Unless I need to like even them out some. Also from Essence, their Make Me Brow eyebrow gel mascara, and it has filling fibers. My eyebrows have always been pretty thick and dark, so I don't usually feel the need to fill them in, but you can see how this side is not quite as full as this one, so sometimes I'll go in just to that section. And I would say be very careful with this. Like, I would say try it out before like a morning that you need to like go to work or something, just so you can see like how light-handed you should be. But I think it works really good. Like adding, and then I always, these end pieces, I just want a little bit. Because my brows are so thick already, I mostly want my eyebrow products to just keep my eyebrow hairs in place, but sometimes I'll go and fill them in very lightly. So I kind of brush them down to fill in that little bit of gap that I have, and then come back. And you just can't get like super precise tail ends, but I feel like it does a little bit for you. And then make sure you let this dry before messing with it, because it does take a little bit and it will smear. Okay, I think that's it. I'm gonna finish getting ready and I'll be back. Okay, moment of truth. Let's see what's going on with the bangs today. Oh yeah, they're kind of coming together. They were not working for me yesterday at all. But they're doing better today. On a daily, I would go in with just some chapstick, but if I'm feeling up to it, then some lip products that I like are the NYX Butter Gloss. I think these are really nice. They just have a little bit of a tint, and I don't feel the need to have a lip liner with these. Because it's just so faint and very comfortable little gloss. Makes my lips feel hydrated, and yeah. So that, I think that's it. Thanks for watching. I hope to see you next time.